Hello, Anson Garcia here, and today we will be configuring Cisco IMP Federation with Skype for Business Online. So this is direct federation with Expressway. I call this about a level 300 configuration. It's fairly technical, and all the base items, certificates, public signing certificates, all that stuff are like MRA and regular XMPP Federation need to be already done. So that's a lot of work. We've already done that in the past. I have some other videos on that. What we're specifically talking about now is adding on Skype for Business online or server configuration to allow us to inter-domain federate instant messaging and presence. So let's get started. This is a rough draft. We finally got this thing working, and I wanted to put this video out there to help some folks and help you understand how this works. It was simple to understand at first when you saw a drawing or two, but to actually implement it was horrendous in my view. There's not one document that really tells you everything, on how to do this stuff. So it's a kind of molding in several documents and then kind of understanding what's going on in the background. And then with that understanding, you can kind of piece together several Cisco documents and get this figured out. I don't think there's many people that have this thing figured out or working today. There's only one particular Cisco support community as of today. It's 10.9. So let's get started. We're talking about Internet Federation, obviously, with Skype for Business Online and Server. What others are doing, I won't go through that. Just real quick, just so if you're here by mistake or not knowing what we're doing here, let me explain it just real quick. Here's a diagram. And we've always known that we can go from, we have Cisco HCS here and Cisco HCS here, and we have the internet here, and we have this XMPP protocol going on as far as federation or inter-federation from company, let's say company A here and company B here. Okay, so this is already working. So you have to be at least here to understand what we're going to talk about. Again, this is a higher level technical chat and configuration video here. And then I just want to point out that at this point, obviously, as far as DNS stuff, we got an A record out there that points to our Expressway E. It's Expressway E. It's 1.1.1 there, and obviously this would be done for both sides. So, this guy, this edge over here, this Expressway edge over there, would have this style of DNS records. Again, if you've done this or watched some of my other videos, you'll understand what's going on here. And then we have an SRV, right? And that SRV, the main thing to explain on this SRV is that XMPP server. It's an XMPP-server SRV with the protocol _TCP. And what else? I didn't put the port number there. I forgot that. It's 5269. I'm pretty sure 5269 is what the port number is. So I just wanted to give you a display. Again, this all has to be done, and then we can obviously see XMPP. That's your traditional Cisco way to do things. That's the only way to do things when you're using Expressway as your edge out to the internet. There was some other ways to do it with CUP server or Cisco IMP Present server through ASA and internally, but we're not talking about those right now. So let's go on to the next. If you didn't understand that particular slide, all the rest of this stuff on this video, you can stop it now because all the rest of this stuff is going to be gibberish to you. For those of you who understand, you have a high technical knowledge in this topic already, and we can continue. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about this. We're talking about Office 365 over here on the left side, and we have Cisco over here, and we have this guy now. So that guy's a blue guy, and you see that's SIP simple. So that tells you right away now that Cisco on the edge, on the Expressway, right, E, now we can do SIP simple. And you can do XMPP at the same time, so you can have multi-protocols on your edge here. Again, we have XMPP working already. We're adding SIP simple now. And I just want to point out right here, you can see that I'm having to add another DNS SRV. Now I already have my Expressway A record out there, but I'm adding a SIP Federation's SRV. If you're familiar with Skype for Business, this is going to look very familiar to you because it's the same SRV that you would add for a Skype for Business online or server deployment in your external DNS records. Anything else I want to say there? Again, I don't know why I didn't put the, I think it's 5269. You know, of course it's not 5269. We're talking SIP here. 5269, I apologize, is for XMPP, and we're talking 5060 here, or 5061. All right, so I apologize on the last page there. Try to go back and update that with a little balloon or something like that. So, okay, I think that's it here. So what versions are we using? I'll let you just review that. You can stop the video to review that if you need to. And then here are the caveats. At the end of this, we'll find out that no group chat, works on here. No audio video. Obviously, those are additional components. CMS, and we need some translation between the two different codecs, on and on. And then no file transfers. I actually thought group chat would actually be working. I published my group aliases, my chat server aliases, and things like that. I really thought that they would work, but I did hear that there's just the delta between the differences, how these two entities do things are so widespread that it doesn't work. Now there is Nextplane, as you know, has been doing this kind of stuff, and they claim that group chat can work between these two. We're actually testing it. I'm testing that in the lab right now. I haven't got that working yet, so I can't say definitively that it works at all. Okay, so let's get into this. You guys that are configuration guys want to know how all this is done, I'm sure. So we are going to start, I think we're going to start on the CUP server. All right, let's go over to administration. And let me bring up a document here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is check our DNS records. So we need to give out a shout out to the internet, to the public space, and see if our DNS records are published. Now, I've already done this. But I'll show you what it should look like after you've got this working. So we're going to do NS lookup. All right, let's set that server to an external server. And we do that by server. And let's pick Google, for example. And then let's set our type. We want to look up SRVs. Okay, now remember my domain is vzbdemo.net. So the service I want to look up is exactly that service if you're familiar with Skype for Business. So it's SIP Federation TLS, and then the protocols protocol is going to be _TCP, and then dot, and then our domain. What our domain is. My domain is vzbdemo.net. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to hit enter here. This is going to do a DNS query out to the Google servers or public DNS, and we're going to see if there's an SRV record that exists for this particular service. All right, let's take a look. There is one, and that service then points to this particular A record right there. Okay, so I know that, and there's our port number. Remember I said it was 5269. It was not. That's XMPP. But regardless, 5061, and because we're doing TLS and Expressway, that's my Expressway E. That's our edge server. Okay, so I want you to take a look at that, and that's what we need first. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now we're going to log into our CUP server, our present server, or IMP service server, whatever you want to call it these days. They've respun the name. We're going to go to presence, and we're going to go to Inter Domain Federation and SIP Federation. Okay, so let me just explain something real quick. In fact, I got a drawing because this might mix you up if you don't know what's going on here. Let me bring this drawing over here from one of the documents that I have. I'm going to bring this right up here. And what I want you to do is take a look right here at what's going on here. So let me just grab my pen and let's take a look here. Okay, what's going on here? You can see the IMP server right there. Okay, you can see we have Expressway C. You can see that we have Expressway E. All right, now what we're doing, we're going to kind of do SIP simple, and this doesn't make any sense if you're just used to doing XMPP federation. What we're going to do is we're going to turn up SIP simple here, and I'm just going to say SIP, okay? SIP S, how's that? We're going to turn up SIP simple, and we're going to direct our SIP simple this way. So we're going to kind of make some routing. So we're almost, if you've ever done Cisco IMP or CUPS federation internal to an internal link server or Skype for Business server, is very similar, but we're not pointing directly to the link server. We're pointing kind of to the Expressway C, then to the Expressway E, and then out to internet land. So what happens is, and this is a good depiction, if you see the yellow stuff here, the yellow stuff is, let's see if they have a, do they have, no, they don't have a legend here, but the yellow stuff here, this yellow guy right here, and see the yellow guy there, and the yellow guy right there, and you see yellow over here, and this yellow can go to Skype for Business server, right, on-prem, and it can also go to talk to Office 365 online. So you can use this example or this configuration to do both. And the way we're going to do that was with static routes. So I just wanted you to get a picture because it was kind of, it wasn't clear to me how all this stuff worked. But this picture right here kind of clues you in. You can really say, if I had just all Cisco stuff, if I set this up with Cisco stuff and had XMPP, you could draw another line. In fact, let me do that. Let's say the green line is XMPP. So we know this works. This is native. You know, XMPP out here, right? We can go out here and yeah, let's go over here to this guy. It looks like they had that kind of set up for us there. And this is Cisco Expressway Edge. Let's see, EXE. All right, we know how to set that up, or hopefully you know how to set that up. Again, if you don't, there's some other videos that I have to kind of walk you through this. But you have to have that working. What we're adding is we're adding this little yellow line that's SIP simple that can talk to the outside world, the outside Microsoft world. And the one thing, really what's new here, is the Expressway E's ability, right, or CNE I should say, ability to push this SIP simple and federate out the door, because this guy has always had SIP simple, but there was just no way to go through Expressway C and Expressway E out to internet land to talk SIP simple to Microsoft environments. That wasn't there. And now with 8.10.1, I think we're using here, and I think that's the official release, 8.10.1 of Expressway 8.10.1, we can do that now. Okay, so let's get back to our configuration. Remember, I went to Presence, Inter Domain Federation, and the reason I'm turning up SIP here, again, as I said in my drawing just a second ago, we're turning up SIP from here. And then what do I do here? I'm going to add the domain of my, in my case, it's ansongarcia.net. So I'm going to add any Microsoft domain, whether it be server or online, that I'm going to talk to, that I want to talk to. So this is my SIP federated domain. In other words, we're kind of creating some routes here. We're kind of telling, in my simple mind anyway, we're grabbing this. If this domain we're talking to, if we get a Jabber client talking to this domain, grab it. We're going to massage it and turn it from XMPP to SIP simple, and then we're going to see in a second, we're going to route it a certain way. Obviously, like the drawing said, we're going to route it over to C. Okay, so that's next. And then after this, the documentation says to restart your XCP router. I won't do that. You should know how to do that already. Then we're going to configure our static routes. Okay, so we're going to go and configure our static routes. The way we do that, we go to Presence, Routing, Static Routes, and I've already have them here. Let me show them to you. Something kind of weird here. The static route is backwards as far as the domain pattern, so that's significant. So this is really ansongarcia.net. That's the way you input it, just like that. You'll see that in the documentation as well. Okay, and in 5061, we're doing TLS. There's no way to not do TLS from your CUP server to your Expressway C and E. Okay, there's no way around it. There's no way around it. I could figure it out. You're just going to have to do it. So all the certificates and all the pain and heartache and misunderstanding and all that stuff that most of us go through anyway, when it comes to certificates, the pain is still there, and it's there on this guy, and you're just going to have to battle your way through it. And hopefully, I can teach you a little bit to kind of connect the dots together, and you can avoid the trials that I went through. It's a domain routing. It's not a user-specific routing. We have to do TLS. As I said, priority and weight don't matter, especially in my case, because I'm only going to 1C. And then, of course, I'm going to do it in service. All right, and that's it. Click Save there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the Expressway as a TLS peer. Okay, so that's going to be under System, Security, and our TLS peers are right here. Okay, let's click Find there, and you'll see I have both my C and E here. Now, as I understand it, I think only the E, I was kind of shotgunning this, so there's some things you may want to look at your particular documentation. There's some things that the documentation doesn't even show you. But you'll see I have both my C and E. I believe the E is the only one, excuse me, the C is the only one that needs to be here. And the reason being, let's refresh that. The reason being is because this particular subject name in this particular configuration allows authentication, with the Expressway C. I should say that differently. Doesn't require, if your TLS subject peer name in here, I believe what the documentation says is it doesn't require authorization. I think that's the right way to say it. So regardless, that has to be in here. The next thing we need is system security, and we need an incoming access control list. Click on Find there, and you'll see that I have two. You will need two of these. You'll need the Expressway C FQDN. You can see I have that here. I just have a description, and there's my address pattern that's going to allow communication to my Expressway C. And you'll also see, and they require this in the documentation I saw, that both the IP address, that's the inside address of the Expressway C, and the FQDN need to be in the incoming ACL information. After this, you have to restart all your proxies. So the proxies are they're in routing settings, I believe, and restart all proxy services. Okay, and that's where kind of one document just kind of falls off the map. It kind of goes into a Skype for Business configuration. Now there's a lot more configuration still for this, but let's go take a look at the stuff we have on the Skype for Business side. Okay, I'm signing into my Skype for Business portal here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my admin portals, and most of you should be familiar with this. If not, if you're not a Microsoft guy at all, you'll be able to talk someone through it with no problems, because I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do here. So we're going to go to the admin centers. We're going to punch out, or go what I call a punch out, to the Skype for Business. Okay, once we're in here, you can see they're pretty light in the Skype for Business admin portal. But if I go to organization right here, and then I go to this external organization right here, this is the federation piece of Skype for Business Online. And it's very much like, kind of Skype for Business Server, a little bit. I mean, in Skype for Business Server, you can do policies and things like that and then let people through based on that. But basically, this is kind of all or nothing here. And I'm sure there's maybe some policies that I haven't played with here, but it's not as extensive. It doesn't appear that way anyway as Skype for Business Server. But here we go. We can click these or add to these domains. So these are domains that are allowed. Now you can do it different ways here, and I'll let you just, see, I'll pull this down just so you can get, a picture of what options are there, and you can pretty much surmise how that works just by looking at those. But what I did is I only allow for the domains that I have listed here, and then I have that my domain, that's vzvdemo.net, that's my Cisco domain, and I have that done right there. So that's it for that piece. I want to point out one more thing that we did during the configuration of this. Again, shotgunning it before we got it working, but I just want to give it to you just in case something doesn't work with this configuration. There's something that we did that that wasn't part of the documentation at all. Neither we didn't find it in any documentation, but it's the available ciphers and what selected ciphers are available. So if I go back, I just want to get you a screenshot of what's going on here, just so you know what's in and what's out, what's actually working and what's not, as far as the TLS Context Configuration is. Again, I would try it without this first. I haven't pulled it out to see if it's still working. Once I got it working after all the shotgunning, I left it this way. Okay, we're going to head into part 2 of this document, and let me just get logged into the Expressway C and Expressway E. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to create a zone or a trunk, but we're going to create a zone, and then we're going to kind of create some routes and some search spaces or routes using some dial searches to kind of push things along and also bring them back through. And we got to parse this SIP simple through, right? It's not XMPP anymore. We're getting this weird thing from this static route from the CUP server, the IMP server, and we're going to kind of put it on a separate freeway, let's call it, through Expressway C and Expressway E. Let me get this. Now this comes from a separate document, so this is piecing this thing together. Okay, and they leave a lot of this out, and this is where I had the most trouble. So we want to be over here. We're going to go to zones, and we want to zone to the IMP server, and here it is right here. So there's my zone, and be cognizant of this. I remember somewhere in the documentation the particular port that was mentioned was wrong. So I can't find it right now. It must be in a third document that I don't have up in front of me, but this is basically what we're going to do first. You're going to create this zone. It's going to be mode on, the port number 5062, not 5061. And 5062 will not come up if you don't have particular services on in your IMP server. So don't be surprised if at first it doesn't come up and you say, oh, it needs to be 5061 because that's the only one it comes. I made that mistake. 5062 did not come up, and I didn't find this out through documentation. I found this out through some forums where people were trying this out, and someone was just smart enough to know that the documentation was wrong, and it was 5062. Now, they didn't give any rhyme or reason in there, so I thought they were wrong, and I tried 5062. It didn't come up. I tried 5061, and it did come up, so I left it at that, and then after I got my configuration done, it did not work. So, and when I say up, I mean this over here. This is what's going to tell you it's up or not. So, 5062, TLS, obviously we can't do anything else but 5062. And then all these, I think these are default. Obviously you can, what I would do is do it exactly like I have it, because this works. I can guarantee this works. And then I have my peer address. That's my CUP server right there. Okay, and that's it. And it comes up active. Again, if it doesn't come up active right away for you, don't be surprised until I'll come circle back at the end and tell you what services I have up. So the next thing, now that we have a zone, we have this trunk to IM&P. We are going to do some search spaces now, right? So I already have, remember, we already have MRA and XMPP Federation going. So all the other zones that you need to create, that's in another video. You should already have that all done. If you don't have all that working, this is not going to help you. Okay, let's take a look at our dial plan and search rules. And there's the two I'm going to concentrate on for now is I'm going out right now. So let's do outbound first. So, you know, someone with Jabber adds a contact of a Skype for Business Online contact, and that's going to catch this guy right here. We already know CUP server is going to throw it over this way. Now, what does the Expressway C do with it? Well, we have this variant here. We got SIP, and we have this new thing right here, this Microsoft SIP variant. That's set SIP simple. It's gonna notice that. It's gonna grab onto that this is SIP simple. It's not a SIP call, voice video, or anything like that. Traditionally, that's what Expressway C and E are for. This is a new protocol or a new variant of SIP that it's going to catch within this particular search pattern or search rule. We're going to name the source. We want to know where it's coming from. It's going to come from our CUP's zone. All right, and then we want to do an alias pattern match, regular expression, and then that's the expression right there. Remember, my domain is ansongarcia.net. I played a lot with this also and finally got it right. I think the documentation was wrong on that one as well. And then we have the pattern. You know, you're going to leave that or change it. We're going to leave it and we're going to stop. If we get a successful match, we're going to stop. And then we're going to throw it over to the traversal zone client, right? That's going over to the E. Look at this, the search rules here. The office outbound obviously is going to go to the zone, but we gotta catch it on this side too. So I apologize. Again, Microsoft SIP variant named. We're gonna catch it from the traversal zone server coming from the C. We're gonna do a pattern match. We're gonna do a regular expression. Same guys we did. We're gonna leave, stop. We're gonna throw it over the DNS zone. Okay, I want to head over to the E, and I first want to mention or have you look at my zones. So there's nothing different here that I have in my zones that wouldn't be typically already there with MRA and B2B business audio, video, or CMR, WebEx CMR. So again, there's nothing different here. Just my regular zones exist, and these zones, specifically the DNS zone, is going to take care of that routing out to the internet for our IM&P to Microsoft. Okay, here is the inbound search rule on the E, and you see that that's going to point to vzbdemo.net. We're going to throw that over to the traversal zone server, and that's going to go over to the C. And then let's go inbound on the C, right? We're coming back in now, so let's take a look at our dial plan search rules here. And then I named it inbound right here, and we can take a look at that. Boom, SIP variant named. pay particular attention to the priority. If you haven't already, look at my priority. There are some dependencies on priority. You will get some search spaces that catch some things. So if you're doing some diagnostics at the end of this, pay particular attention to my priority and go back and look at, stop the video where I have my particular priority in these particular search rules, because that would cause me some problems as well. So just a quick note there. Okay, we're going to alias pattern match. We're going to do a regular expression. There's the guy, right, going over to now one of the routes, vzbdemo.net. That's the domain. Leave, stop, and we're going to the CUPS server zone. Okay, two more things before we get into certs here. Is I wanted to show you the application listeners. Okay, we're right here, and I wanted to show you that 5062. That's the guy that the SIP trunk on the Expressway C should be pointing to. This one right here. Okay, and there's a service that needs to be started for that to make sure that it's working. We'll go take a look at that real quick, but first I'm going to show you the domain. Obviously, this is the main domain. That's the domain we're going to be routing on. That's in my internal domain. And let's just quickly, let me see if I remember. Remember I told you when I first put in that 5062, it did not work. It's because one of my services weren't on by default. Again, everything else was working, CUPS, MRA and XMPP Federation and all that good stuff. And I think it was that guy right there. So that guy right there, obviously I did not have on, and that's why it was failing to come up the zone, the trunk. Okay, so just remember that. Again, didn't say that in the documentation. Kind of fumbled upon that. Okay. Let's take a look at all the stuff that we usually get fumbled up and wrapped around the axle with. I'm going to go to, on all these, we're going to go over to security, certificates, security, and I'm just going over to them. Okay, now I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you what I did. We're going to go to certificate management. Okay. The one I missed, or the one that was hard for me, I'm going to start with that one. So you had to put the Expressway C, the internal certificate. Let's see, what's the right way to say that? On the instant message, on the IMP server, or IMP service server, you need to upload the Expressway C's certificate. Okay, not the root certificate, the certificate. The thing that contains the private key. Okay, so what is that and how do you get it? Well, it's this guy right here. In my case, this guy right here. Okay, it needs to go in the Cup Trust store. Excuse me, Cup Trust store. So here's my Expressway C server certificate is what I call it. Private key, whatever you want to call it that, but it is the one, this one right here, this guy right here. Okay, this is the certificate that needs to be placed on the IMP service server. Okay, I won't show you how to do that. There's a number of ways to copy and paste and get into a file and then take it over here. And you can also, if I remember right, you can actually upload a certificate. So I think you can upload, and yeah, you do the Cup Trust store, right? And then I thought you could actually go get it somehow. I forget. But anyway, that's the guy you need. Hopefully that makes some sense. It didn't make any sense to me when I actually put the server cert over here. I just didn't know what it was talking about. Okay, the next thing you'll need is the on the E, you'll need the Skype for Business Edge certificate if you're doing Skype for Business server. If not, just obviously a public certificate's gonna work over there. And then what else did we need? On the E, upload on the Skype for Business Edge server. On the IAM, upload to C on the IAM. I think that is it. I think that's it. Let's just go look over here what I got. Make sure. I'll let you see this just in case you catch something and I don't remember something I did. I have my stuff by GoDaddy. There's my internal CA, for my connection between the C and E, that root cert. And, and I actually brought the cup cert over here as well. So I don't see that in the documentation right now, but again, I shotgun this thing. You might want to try it without it and see if that works. But I have it on here. And then my E, let's take a look over here. I don't see anything with cups here, so it looks like that was just on the C itself. So okay, so there is one more thing we're gonna do. There's some notify messages that don't route correctly. So based on Cisco's statement here in the document I'm looking at, I will post in the description, but it says, and I'm going to read it verbatim, subscribe messages are sent between clients to request present status. Okay, so the clients, the Skype for Business and the Jabber one, the subscribe messages are sent right to, if you change your status or something like that. And in subsequent notify messages, within the same dialogue, signal any changes. So there's a pipe open between these two clients, and any subsequent messages or subsequent changes in presence go within that little pipe. The notify message should not need any special routing considerations because they are within the same dialogue, the same pipe as the subscribe, and should follow the same route. However, and this is where they deviate here, for performance reasons, and I think Cisco's meaning because they have some problems, maybe in Expressway as far as performance, and taking a look and routing all these dialogues that are nailed up as far as presence and subscriptions to contacts outside of the Cisco realm to the Microsoft realm. For performance reasons, we have chosen not to hold the information about subscribed dialogues. This means we must use search rules to route the notify messages. In other words, the subsequent messages that come in for the change of presence, we have to make another search rule. All right, and this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to show you real quick. We are going to look at, we're in service parameters, we're on the IAM presence server, and we're going to go to SIP proxy, I believe. We're going to look for the, public. Okay, there it is, Federation Routing FQDN. Okay, this guy right here, you got to make sure that's set to something. Mine was already, and I had a fresh install, so I don't remember setting it at all. I don't know if it got set automatically or what. But we need to go over here and we need to create a search rule, an inbound search rule on the Expressway C. And you can see I kind of named it different. Microsoft Office 365 inbound, and I put the presence on the end of it just so I could distinguish the difference. Remember, we already had our inbound. We already had our inbound rule right here that we've been using for instant messaging, but we got to create this other one. Okay, real quick. SIP variant, right? Named source, we're going to come from the traversal. We're going to come from the E. We're going to come from the traversal client. We're going to pattern match regular expression. We're going to catch that CUPS public. So something's routing outside of this that has that CUPS public header on it. We're going to leave. We're going to stop. We're going to go over to CUPS. Same thing. Now, it didn't say to do this on the documentation, and I'm going to pause just for a second to reread the documentation. Okay, I just reread this message or this workaround, and it definitely does not say to go do this on the E. Now, I'm going to show you my E, and again, mine is working. Everything on mine is working, so I'm going to show it to you anyway. And if I were you, again, I shotgunned mine and did a bunch of stuff before I got it working. And let's just organize those. There it is right here, and it's this inbound, this guy right here. I think I actually had to do that one for the presence to go the other way, but let me show you this one. And again, you can do as I did, or you can try it in steps and see which one works for you. But again, mine is working. Again, let's see. I'm in P, pattern match, all the same stuff there. There's the CUPS public. We're going to leave stop. We're going to throw it over to the C. We enable, and let me show you this last one. And I believe this one did not, my presence going outbound did not work until I had this guy here. Again, maybe I'll follow up with another video, take some things out and see exactly what is exactly needed. But anyway, just so you see that, that is it. And hopefully all this has been helpful to set up your inter-domain federation with Microsoft Office 365 Online, or the same thing will work with Microsoft Office, Skype for Business Online or Skype for Business Server. Okay, we're going to finish up with a demo, and I'm going to show you that this does work and presence is working and all that stuff. So first thing I want to say is the way you add this particular person on the Cisco side. If you want to add a Skype for Business user, make sure that you file new contact, not custom contact. Okay, just make sure that that does not work. If you do it that way, there'll be some trouble with presence. Okay, so here is my Skype for Business guy. You can see it's Anson G at ansongarcia.net, and you can see my Skype for Business client here. This is indeed Anson, and I will show you here. That is indeed Anson G at ansongarcia.net there, all right? So let's start from the Cisco side, and let's just bring him up. I've already added him as a contact, and then we'll go ahead and say, hello, Anson G. We'll go over here to this side, and then we will see that we should get a, there it is right there. Looks like I put that away on accident. And he gets a message from here, and then we'll say, hi, Jack Sparrow. Send him something back. Okay, and we see we get that. Let's just check our presence indicator. So I'm going to say, do not disturb on this side. Let's go take a look at that. On this side, we see we get a do not disturb here, or busy. The presence states are a little bit different on each side. And then let's do that back at Jack here. Let's go ahead and do busy here. and let's go to Jack, and we will see Anson G is busy. So there you have it. Obviously, advanced things like file transfer, things like that. There are some emojis that work. Actually, let's try one. Let's just see. How about let's do that one. Make that one go across. Let's see what do we get over here. Hey, we got that one. Anything, obviously, that's kind of proprietary, like let's say that one. I wouldn't expect that one to work. I haven't tried it. Yeah, you see it doesn't work. So, there's some subtle differences in some things like, screen capture and file transfer and things like that aren't going to work. So there you have it. Hopefully you're successful in configuring this stuff for our clients, our Cisco clients.